Hello and welcome to this analysis of an aspect of Persuasion by Jane Austen, okay? In this video, I'm going to be doing close reading of passages to answer the question, how does Louisa Musgrove's accident affect Captain Wentworth, okay? All right. So, in chapter 12 of Persuasion by Jane Austen, Louisa Musgrove falls on the stone-paved ground after Wentworth fails to catch her when she jumps from high up on the cob seawall steps in Lyme Regis. This event is a turning point for Captain Wentworth. Okay, so from chapter 12. In all their walks in the countryside, Captain Wentworth had had to jump Louisa from the stiles. This sensation was delightful to her. The hardness of the pavement for her feet made him less willing upon the present occasion. He did it, however. She ran up the steps to be jumped down again. He advised her against it, thought the jar too great. But no, he reasoned and talked in vain. She smiled and said, I am determined I will. He put out his hands. She was too precipitate by half a second. She fell on the pavement on the lower cob and was taken up lifeless. There was no wound, no blood, no visible bruise, but her eyes were closed. She breathed not. Her face was like death. The horror of the moment to all who stood around. So, in this passage, we see the culmination of the fact that Captain Wentworth has gone along with Louisa's habit of jumping down into his arms on their walks. This time, the environment is different, but his earlier declaration that he admires people who won't give in to any kind of persuasion makes Louisa feel that she should jump even when he says not to. The result of this is Louisa falling onto the hard ground and losing consciousness. Okay, so we have to go back to chapter 10 to get a sense of how Captain Wentworth, gave Louisa the idea that it would impress him to never listen to any kind of persuasion, okay? So this is when he is talking to her about Henrietta, okay? So he says, your sister is an amiable creature, but yours is a character of decision and firmness, I see. It is the worst evil of too yielding and indecisive a character that no influence over it can be depended on. You are never sure of a good impression being durable. Everybody may sway it. Captain Wentworth to Louisa about Henrietta. Okay, so this is the passage where Captain Wentworth made Louisa. Sorry about that. Captain Wentworth to Louisa. Made Louisa think that she had to never give in to any kind of persuasion in order to impress him. Okay, so it's very extreme. Okay, and then in chapter 12, after the accident, when it is being discussed, Captain Wentworth at one point says, "Don't talk of it, don't talk of it," he cried. "Oh God, that I had not given way to her at the fatal moment. Had I done as I ought, but so eager and so resolute." Okay, so in this passage, we see that Louisa's accident is a turning point for Captain Wentworth. He knows that it is his fault that Louisa jumped and was seriously injured. He soon realizes that he was wrong to court Louisa when he wasn't sure that he was truly attached to her and he still had feelings for Anne. The fact that Louisa's current predicament is a direct result of her refusing to listen and change her mind shows that he has been too inflexible in thinking that being unpersuadable was always a virtue. We see evidence of Captain Wentworth's repentance and new clarity about his feelings the next time Anne sees him, which is in Bath. Okay? All right, so... Okay, so in chapter 19, when Captain Wentworth and Anne see each other again in Bath, okay, so it says Captain Wentworth acts very differently than he did before, okay? He was obviously struck and confused by the sight of her, or more struck and confused by the sight of her than she had ever observed before. He looked quite red. For the first time since their renewed acquaintance, she felt that she was betraying the least sensibility of the two. Okay? And chapter 20, okay, so Anne asks him, "You were a good while at Lyme, I think." So she is asking how long he stayed in Lyme after Louisa's accident. And he replies, "About a fortnight. I could not leave it till Louisa's doing well was quite ascertained. I had been too deeply concerned in the mischief to be soon at peace. It had been my doing, solely mine. she would not have been obstinate if I had not been weak. Okay, so we see here that he can see that he played a major part in what she did and her getting hurt. Okay, ultimately. So here we see Captain Wentworth taking responsibility for how Louisa behaved and what happened. It's clear that he has gained self-knowledge and understands his real emotions now and his real motivations. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed this close reading. Please like and subscribe so you see my future videos. Thank you so much for being here. All right, take care. Bye.